Yo, how's it going? My name is AJ. Um, uh, so basically, cause I didn't know what I was gonna title this yet, if there was even gonna necessarily be a title to it. Um, they're just basically, I know a lot of people that know me have questions about what like being a Hebrew Israelite. What does that mean? How do I know that? All that, the blase. So, in doing that, you know what I'm saying? I had been going, I've actually studied like almost all the religions, you know what I'm saying? Um, that go along with different nations, because pretty much every nation has so if you want to call it a not necessarily every nation has a spiritual belief, you know what I'm saying? And so like in studying, coming across, finding out that that I'm a Hebrew Israelite, I've been studying the nation of Israel. And so doing that, so I came across this picture here, you know what I'm saying? And so this picture here is a picture of Noah's three sons, right? And so what we know about Japhet here on the far left is that the Europeans come from his loins. What we know about Ham in the middle, as far as in all three, and I'm speaking as far as from history and from historians and theologians that you could all look up in Google. You can all see that the Europeans come from Japhet's loins. Um, from him, the black or the dark skinned people, and the Israelites from Shem. Um, so that had led me to, I mean, just a logical question. So two, so I'm like, okay, so if these guys are brothers, so have you ever seen like two European people have a uh, African baby, or have you ever seen two dark skinned people, like two blue black people have a European baby, or even two people of this guy here on the far right. Have you ever seen two people that color have a you know blue black baby? So I came across another definition and just asking myself those questions and things like that. And so this definition was about the guy in the middle, in the previous picture, him. And so it says, Ham, the youngest son of Noah, probably born about 96 years before the flood, uh, one of eight persons to live through the flood. And so read that definition to yourself out loud, highlighted there. Right, so I'll read it now, and it says, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the negroes, but the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites. Right? So then, from what we know, just from history, what we know, just period, right? That black people are Negroes, right? Of course. So then, why have you been calling us Africans, per se, if Ham is the progenitor of different African nations, but not the Negroes? So let's move forward. Here I have a definition, another definition from the same dictionary. It's the definition for the word Rudy here highlighted. And so read that definition, right? And so it says a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. So again, this is letting you know that the Hebrews have dark skin, and again, the Hebrews, the Hebrew Israelites, um, have dark skin, you know. And so I want to go back to, again, we know from history that the Europeans come from Japhet to the far left, that the African nations come out of Ham, right? The Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the Libyans, and the Canaanites, but not the Negroes. But we do know the Israelites came from Shem. This guy Shem over here appears to have bronze color skin, which is dark. And so Rudy, this definition saying a word used to refer to a red or fair complexion in contrast to the dark skin of the Hebrews. So the Hebrews have dark skin. So for sale, a healthy Negro woman, right? We know during slavery we were sold and auctioned off. Here's another poster. This one actually makes me feel something because I currently live in Kentucky. I live about 30 minutes away from Lexington, so 45 minutes. And so when you ask yourself who we were before the transatlantic slave trade, you come to this map here. So the term Negro, when you're seeing these posters, when you're seeing those posters, you have to see where the term came from. And so this map here is a map from about 1747, 1729, I think, actually. And you see that this area in West Coast Africa is called Negro land. These people were Negroes that were taken from the west coast of Africa in the transatlantic slave trade. Excuse me. Here's another picture of the map of the pink area. Negro land was the area that the Negroes, the Hebrew Israelites, then settled in Negro land on the west side of Africa when they ran out of Israel in 143 BC. They settled in the west coast of Africa. The tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, they settled in the west coast of Africa, and they were taken into captivity into America and a couple in various other countries. And so when you look at this green line, outlining Negro land there, that's the Niger River, parts of it. And so when you see here on this map, the name nigger or nigga derives from the Niger River, not to be confused with niggas. Niggas, Negus, stemming from African nations from Ham. The river traces that length of Negro land. And so obviously I'm not saying it's okay to let anyone call you that, but that's just where the term comes from. And so again, when you look at Negro land, the west coast of Africa, and you look at the transatlantic slave trade, where the people were taken from, you got to ask yourself why and how that happened. And so you go to Deuteronomy 28, and you check out and you read it, and it says, therefore shalt you serve your enemies, which the Lord shall send against you, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon your neck until he have destroyed you. And so there you see, I believe this is actually a picture of Roots, you know what I'm saying? But as you see, they have the chains around his neck. Deuteronomy 28:37, and you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord shall send you. And so you obviously know here, this is a picture of obviously people doing blackface. And so, being a byword, a proverb, people will be, tying us to the country, where he sent us from captivity from the west coast of Africa. Um, to the U.S. in the transatlantic slave trade. So arriving in 1619. Another verse. And the Lord shall scatter you among all the people from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. And so, again, if you know, being the negroes, being the Hebrew Israelites, you understand that, you know, the Hebrew Israelites are descendants of, of the Moses, of Abraham, of Jacob, of the 12 tribes. And so, again, in all 12 tribes, all 12 tribes being Negroes, um, you know that when 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 we came here to the U.S., there's guys that we worship, the God that we worship now, you know, Jacob and Isaac didn't know. And so I don't think we ever look at that, when we look at the scriptures. And so we read it again, and it says, and the Lord shall scatter you among all people, from one end of the earth onto the other, and there you shall serve other gods. And so this is other gods than you were serving back in this time, that Moses and them were serving. Uh, these are gods that neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. And so obviously, uh, we were given a religion when we came here to America. Um, and so a lot of times we like to hold on to it, um, you know, and, just like the picture says, Stockholm syndrome is a big part of that, so is, Christianity. And so, um, here's another verse from Deuteronomy. So, the strangers among you shall come up very high, while you are brought down very low. They shall lend to you, you shall not lend to them. And so obviously, you see this picture right here. The liquor store. They probably got, they got white teas in there. Then, I got the Asian store. You got beauty supply store, and these are all places that we shop at frequently. And all these people have businesses, but it's very hard for us to get businesses. And so you see, these are the curses of these people. Uh, Again, reiterating, and the Lord shall scatter you among all the people from one end of the earth one to the other. There you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations you shall find no ease, neither shall the sole of your foot have rest. But the Lord shall give you there a trembling heart and failing of the eyes and sorrow of the mind. So, trembling heart, uh, anxiety, failing of the eyes, being tiresome, and, sorrow being, sad of the mind. I know, a lot of us, been through obviously trauma for generations here. Um, and here again, one of the kickers for me was the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships. And as you know, it did not take back in those times when the Hebrew Israelites were in captivity. They were oppressed by the Egyptians from Ham seed. Um, you seen that, you didn't have to get on the ship to, be from Israel to go to Egypt, um, or anything, or any of those areas. And so, we came over here on ships as they depict, in movies, as roots, I'm sure that everyone's seen, because we came over here on ships in 2016. And so it says, the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again, because also Egypt means house of bondage. That's all Egypt means. And the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships by way whereof I spake unto you. You shall see it no more again, and there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. And so, uh, that's the predicament we're in today. Um, but as we know, uh, he'll be coming back and replacing us. But this was all about, just showing that I just wanted to address again that uh, we've learned a lot of stuff, but a lot of the stuff that we learned was skewed and was thrown off, and the curses are a lot of part. And I'm going to do another video, a couple more videos. I'm going to go more in depth on a couple things, but I just wanted to identify and show some things that I found, and give a couple answers to a couple things, and hopefully people dive in and you know uh, do some reading and investigating on their own. But I just think it's time. We're seeing the times that we're living in, and I think that uh, what we've been doing hasn't been working, right? So I think we should definitely go on the opposite, and I think uh, we should really get to know ourselves and uh, you know unlearn and relearn. And so I appreciate your time. Got any questions? Hit me up. You got my number. You got my social media. Um, Peace.